Okay, so welcome back to the channel and the 7th installment of the CBR600 Overhaul series. In this video we're going to be installing an integrated LED tail light, LED turn signals and an R&G Tail Tidy. So the objective of the video here is to tidy up the tail of the bike. So I think Honda knocked it out of the park when they made the ugliest back end of a bike known to man. So the LED turn signal is going to sit up at the top. We have some smaller LED indicators that are going to go onto the side here. Now I'm going to actually keep this side plastic bracket, and then we've got an R&G tail tie that's going to sit at the bottom. So the reasoning behind actually wanting to keep this piece here, two reasons. So the first reason is here in the UK we have a law in place where we can't have the turn signals mounted into the brake light that's going to be here. So particularly with TST Industries, I'm sure you've seen the video. They have an integrated tail light with LEDs on either side built into one unit, so that's actually not legal in the UK. So that's the reason I've gone for separate turn signals. The reason I want to keep this unit here is actually for these little hooks. So I do use this bike. This is actually my commuting bike, and I use it for a volunteer service, something called blood bikes here in the UK. So if you're in the UK, you've probably heard of it. If you're not, basically what it consists of is volunteers moving blood, breast milk, that kind of stuff around free of charge. So I actually do that on this bike, and it sits just, I use these hooks as a mean of supporting anything onto the back of the bike. So that's the reason I want to keep this little piece. So the products that we're going to be using, I've got the TST Industries integrated turn signal, a very nice bit of kit. I've also got the TST Industries LED indicators. I also came with a lowering kit for the exhaust and a pack of resistors, though I'm not going to be using these. Massive credit to TST Industries for getting this stuff from Florida to the UK in about 4 days, so it's pretty incredible. And then we've got an R&G Tail Tidy. So this is what's actually going to mount inside of that bracket that I showed you just before, and the number plate will sit onto here. It did come with its own tail light, but I'm not going to be using this. I will hold that back for a separate project that I've got planned in the future, and I do have an LED relay for the indicator should we need it, but I'm pretty sure there's already one on the bike. So the first job is going to be to disconnect the electrical equipment. So under the seat here, obviously I've already got the seat removed, that's just 4 bolts if you haven't got that done. You'll find the wires for the tail. The left hand side of the bike is orange and the right hand side of the bike is blue. To disconnect these, just pop the little retainer clip up, give it a little bit of a wiggle. So on the TST Industries tail light, they've done a pretty decent job where it's all hardwired in. So it's just plug and play. If you've got the one with the turn signals built in, again that's going to be plug and play. As I haven't, I'm going to use the white to connect the brake light. We could sacrifice this black unit here on the back, cut these connectors off for the indicators, attach those to our new indicators so we can retain this. With the electrical equipment removed, just a couple of 10mm bolts, 2 on either side, holding the tail unit in place. Okay, then next up we're going to remove the bolt for the exhaust fasteners here. So depending on your system, you might have one of these on both sides. On the system on the bike there's just a left-hand bracket. Lower the exhaust down just a little bit. I'm going to leave it loose for now because I'm not too sure exactly where I need this to sit. Obviously we can have a play with the mounting kit from TST Industries when we get there. But for now I'm just going to leave that loose. So the first job I'm going to tackle is the disassembly and reassembly of this unit here. So as I mentioned before, I'm aiming to keep this part. I'm going to replace the indicators with the ones from TST Industries. Inside the R&G kit, you're going to get the new number plate bracket. You get a fixing kit, various adapters and stuff in there. The instructions are all a little bit vague, so we'll just sort of wing our way through it. This clip here I assume is for the light that was included, that would sit in there, but obviously we're going to be using the integrated tail light, so I'm not going to be needing that. And then it came with this bracket as well. I'm not too sure exactly what that's for. I assume something possibly for the light, but I don't know. We'll work our way through and see what happens. So we're going to start with disassembling this unit. Okay, so with the unit disassembled. You see these are actually the only parts here that I'm going to be keeping. So the R&G unit, this is where the indicators will go. Will sit nicely in there, both sides. I'll give you an idea of how it's going to look. So the first thing I'm going to do is mount the indicators back into these, the new indicators, sorry, back into these side pieces. Side panels assembled with the indicators. It's now going to be time to offer up the R&G center unit. So basically on the inside of the stalk here, fits just on the inside there, lines up perfectly. So we'll get a nut and bolt through that, it's supplied with the kit on both sides, and then we'll probably make a start with the TST integrated tail light. Okay, so that's the tail unit assembled and put together. So just offering it up to the bike gives you a rough idea of how it's going to sit. So I think the next task is going to be is cut this tab out here, because our tail light's actually going to sit here at the top. I'm probably going to need to modify this R&G unit a little bit, so the little brackets you see here are actually for the lights. And the light that came with the unit, obviously I'm not going to be using that. So I'm thinking I might just bend those in a little bit and try and hide, mount the license plate a little higher, just to cover those holes. But we'll get to that. Let's get cracking with the tail unit. So TST Industries give you this little template to cut out. So I'm going to get this cut out now, offer it up to the bike, and then we'll get to cutting the subframe. Okay, so we've got a nice clean cut on our subframe. That's the idea here. It's going to line up at the bottom of the TST Industries unit here, and the brackets. Actually going to reuse the original mounting brackets that the rear unit sits into, the rear fairing. So I'll just offer this up. I'll get our first sneak preview, if you like, of how it's going to look. Okay, so the next task is going to be, we're going to sit this unit inside of the rear fairing. So I must say, TST Industries absolutely knocked it out of the park with this thing. It's a really premium bit of kit. It looks lovely, really nice. So this should sit inside the little groove there with the holes all lining up. Okay, so I've had a little play with the exhaust. I've got it to roughly where I think it needs to be. So next task is going to be re-secure clamp for the exhaust. I ended up not actually using the lowering kit from TST Industries, but there is a lowering kit with the R&G unit that I probably will use. So I've had a little play with the exhaust. I've got it to roughly where I think it needs to be. I did decide to use one end of the TST lowering kit. I would rather, to be honest, the exhaust mounts on both sides. It might be something I look at in the future, but it is what it is for now. If we just offer the tail tidy up, we get our first glimpse of how it's going to look. So it's a huge improvement on the standard setup, I'm sure you'll agree. I did decide to remove these lowering clips that I put on here, both for the exhaust and for the R&G unit. So when this was lowered down a little bit, obviously it had this sort of awkward gap here. It sat something a bit like that, just didn't really look right. So what I decided to do was take it off, lower the raise the exhaust up, so there's not a huge gap there between the top of the pipe and the light unit from TST. And then again at the bottom, you can just see there's not a huge gap, but I shouldn't think it'll pose too much problem. Obviously the exhaust does give off a lot of heat, but we'll have to just keep an eye on that and see how it goes. Next job is going to be to wire in these indicators. I'm going to sacrifice the wiring for the old indicators just to make sure that the wiring still matches the corresponding colours, because obviously we've got red and black here on these short wires. I've only got red red spare wire that I could use, so I ended up having 4 red wires the same running to the back of the bike. So if I use the wiring from here, everything will still be tidy, still be obvious what's left and what's right, what's live and what isn't. So we're going to sacrifice those, cut them off here, join these onto here, and then we'll run the whole lot back. Okay, so we have everything fastened up, all the indicators are working. So you route the wires, and it's a bit bad to see, but for the other indicator all I've done is route the wires up this way to tag on to the other side. Just secured that with some very small cable ties, and just try to keep that as tight as I can. Obviously the license plate's going to hide these anyway, so that's not too much of a problem. They then snake up out of the factory slot here, and then just tag on to the standard wiring. What's important to remember is when you put the rear unit back on, is make sure these wires aren't getting snagged under any of these compartments here. They want to sit tight inside there and leave this whole bottom tray free. So yeah, the final job now is going to be go through, make sure everything's straight, tighten all the bolts up, reinstall the rear cowl, and that'll be us good to go. Okay, so there we go, that's it. Install is complete. I'm quite happy with how it turned out. I think it looks much better. Obviously I still do need to mount a license plate. I'm not going to film that, I'm sure you can figure it out for yourself. In the next video I'm probably going to be tackling the flush fit halo side indicators. They're also from TST Industries. And then we'll probably go ahead and do the planned coolant flush. But until then, please do subscribe, stick around, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.